Hello, this is some tips on the first assessment for engaging with external agencies. So I'm sharing the first page of the Brightspace site. So let's go straight into assessment information. And you can see here, the first one that comes up is TMA1. So what you have here is the document with the assessment brief. It's also got the cover sheet in it. You've also got a marking rubric. I've clicked on that. You won't be able to see that so small as it is, but please download this. It's an Excel spreadsheet and it gives you an indication of what is expected in each of the different sections. So if you're chasing high marks, and who isn't in fourth year, please use this as a check. Use it as a check to make sure that you are providing what you want to provide in order to get the mark that you're after. Okay, so let's just go back here, and we have the upload area. Okay, going back to the brief. There's a lot of guidance in here, so you know what I'm doing in this video really is just reiterating what's already here. So you've got a brief outline of what you're expected to do here, but if we scroll down further, we've got candidate guidelines here, which are fairly comprehensive. So let's leap straight in. First section, well actually before that, let's talk about presentation and structure. So it's up to you. It does ask for a report, so it would be sensible to include a cover page, a contents page, and headings throughout to guide the reader through. Whatever, we're looking for something quite formal, so it's either a project or placement proposal. When you're writing this and inputting it, you may have already started your placement or project, or you may not, but obviously you need to kind of set it in the timeline that you're preparing to start it. Although it's formal, use first person. It would be really weird to write it in third person. So you're starting with a sort of a brief introduction to set the scene, and what you're really looking for in this first section here is to talk about why have you chosen that placement. So the opportunities here to link to some extensive career related research, which hopefully you've undertaken. So that might include references to professional bodies. It might be links to organisations that you see as important and influential in your future career. You may be linking to adverts and job descriptions, that sort of thing, to sort of give the reader an idea about who you are, what you're looking for, and how you went about it. So, you know, I don't know whether you may have had quite a journey in terms of trying to find your placement. So you're giving us some sort of background really. There's another tip there. It says, you know, how might you change that approach in the future? So throughout, because of the level, we're looking for some critical reflection. So bear that in mind as you go through. We're also asking you to include a CV and an example cover letter in the appendices. So this is probably going to be the first of the appendices that you put in. There may be others. Obviously, you make sure that your CV and cover letter are as professional as you possibly can make them, because there's marks available for them. Okay, so you've set the scene. Let's move on to the second section, which is where you're going to talk more about the external agency that you're going to be doing some work for. So you might include what sector are they in, you know, how are they organised, you know, maybe their mission. And again, you could well be including appendices here or links to their website. And what are you going to be doing for them, and how does that fit in with their big picture? So we ask, what value are you adding? So what you're doing is you're setting out really your objectives for the placement or project. So I'm not specifically talking about your learning objectives here. They come in the section after this. But what have you agreed you're going to do for this organisation, and by what time will you do it? So based on the discussions that you've had with them, what is it you're going to do? It's an opportunity, or hopefully it's an opportunity for you to apply the theoretical and maybe practical skills that you've learnt on your course in a professional setting. So hopefully it's giving you an opportunity to develop work-related skills. So what are the objectives that you're going to achieve whilst you're with this organisation? What is it you're going to do? What steps are you going to take to achieve them? So you're going to reflect on this in the second assessment. So it's worth putting a bit of thought and effort into how you set that out. So what are your responsibilities? How do you fit in the big picture of the organisation? You might include things like an organisation chart, or I don't know, whatever's relevant really. Another point is that you can include pictures, images, you know, graphs, whatever, anything that will actually improve the presentation of this piece of work. Okay, I've gone slightly off topic there. Right, let's move on to the actual learning objectives. So again, you're going to reflect on these in the second assessment. So the more specific and detailed you can make them, the easier the job you're giving yourself when you move on to reflect on them later on. So you're looking at it, asked an overview of your professional and personal strengths and weaknesses as a sort of a precursor to setting out the personal development that you're hoping to get out of this placement or project. So you might do something like a SWOT analysis at this point. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are the opportunities that the placement's going to give you? What are the threats? What are the challenges you're going to come up against? So something like that in the appendices could be a very useful addition. You may again be referring to career-related research. You might also be referring to academic sources in terms of your learning objectives, in terms of what sort of what you're trying to achieve. So you need to set these out so that you can critically evaluate your progress towards them later on. So they could focus on hard or soft skills. So they might focus on technical elements, technical skills that you've learnt that you want to put into practice, and they could focus on soft skills. So it may be that, actually being in the workplace, being part of a team, working, in an environment where you're having to assert yourself, where you're possibly having to lead others, where you're having to use your presentation skills, speak up in meetings, build relationships with people. So think about those learning objectives, because they could focus on both hard and soft development goals. And again, we've got here, how do these objectives support your future career plans? So linking back to the bigger picture. So always kind of not writing it in isolation, but thinking, possibly bringing in things, elements of your, your education from the past, and how you're looking at things in the future. So we've always got that kind of holistic approach to what we're doing. Anything else on that? I think that probably sets that out. Again, please read the rubric, because the rubric for the learning objectives, for instance, says a comprehensive overview of professional and personal strengths and weaknesses in the context of the project or placement. Personal development areas are fully explored with explicit learning objectives set out, And the plan for achieving the learning objectives includes full consideration of resources and support that will be needed. Reflections and insights throughout show clear evidence of linkage to longer term career aims. So basically what I just said, but that kind of puts it a little more succinctly. Okay, so moving on to 4, what challenges and difficulties do you anticipate during the project or placement, and how will you overcome these? So important, what help, what resources will you need? You know, what could stop you from getting the most out of this experience? And if that happens, what are you going to do? So it's worth 10 marks, so worth putting a bit of effort into that one as well. Again, you could be linking to the SWOT analysis that you did earlier. You could refer back to that appendix, and you know, maybe you set out some of those challenges under threats in the SWOT analysis. And finally, we have 10 marks for presentation. So at this level, by the time you get to 4th year, your presentation should be spot on. So that should be some easy marks with a bit of luck. So thinking about your appendices, there's a whole range of ideas here of what you might include in the appendices. Obviously looking for in-text citations and a reference list following. I'm not concerned whether you're following the old system or the new UHI site right, as long as you're consistent. I'm not concerned about that, as long as it's correctly referenced in some way. Okay, I think that's probably it. Yep, I think that's it. So good luck with the first assessment.